Welcome to another video. In today's video, I'm going to be doing a May book wrap up, and I'm also going to take you through my June TBR. But first things first, we'll go through all the books that I read in May. So the way that I'm going to structure this video is I'm going to talk you through the star rating, and the elements that go into my star rating is 1. Plot, 2. Characters, 3. The pacing of the book, 4. The themes, and then 5. My overall feelings of the book. So let's get into the first book that I read, The Last Mrs. Parrish. Now, I definitely rate this book a 3 out of 5, but I went into this book not knowing what it was about, and it is actually a psychological thriller. I don't know if you've ever watched on Netflix Reinventing Anna. The main character reminds me of that. She came from not a lot of money, low socioeconomic family, and basically she wants to make it big. And the way that she's going about becoming rich is to steal someone else's husband. Now, that husband is Jackson Parrish, and the wife of Jackson Parrish is Daphne Parrish. Daphne runs a charity for cystic fibrosis, and basically the way that Amber swindles her way into the family is to make up this whole story and pretend that she had a sister that also died from cystic fibrosis. Now, in terms of my 3-star rating for this book is definitely 1 for plot. I was hooked. I needed to find out what was happening, what these characters were about, what their motivations were. So yeah, in terms of plot, it definitely had me. Then in terms of characters, Jackson Parrish definitely is schizophrenic or something like that, and so is Amber. I find that pretty early on because things just don't add up, and the logic and her motivations are just so unhinged. Yeah, characters, I would give 1 point. Pacing, I was really into it in the beginning. Did lose me a little bit in the middle. The end was really fast paced, like things unraveled really quickly. And then in terms of themes, because obviously whilst Amber Patterson's story of losing a sister to cystic fibrosis was all made up, Daphne's wasn't. So there was a lot of talk of grief, and as the story unfolds, you see her trying to get out of a manipulative relationship. So the themes were quite heavy, and the book was quite heavy once it all unraveled in the end. So my overall feelings was that the book was a little bit dark for my liking. If you are into psychological thrillers, if not, then maybe pick up a mystery thriller or something like that. Then the next book, well, it's actually a short story. It's called Evidence of the Affair, and this one was by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Now, this one I downloaded from Amazon Prime. The book is in written letter format. Now, the first letter that you read is from main character Carrie, and Carrie is writing a letter to the husband of the lady or the woman that's having an affair with her husband. So overall, like, the plot isn't that original. The characters, it was a short story, so there's not necessarily enough character development or anything like that for you to fall in love with the characters. The pacing, it is super fast because it's in letter format. I feel like it's just really easy to read. I think I read this over 2 nights, so really good in terms of pacing. I think the main themes of this short story was obviously the affair, and then it also just touched on juggling family life and then juggling your marriage at the same time. My overall feelings was there's a little bit of a twist at the end of this that I was not expecting at all. That's probably what bumped this up from maybe a 2-star to a 3-star short story. If you really enjoyed the writing of Taylor Jenkins Reid, then I would highly recommend. Now, the third book that I read in May was also another short story. This one was How the King of Elfhame Learned to Hate Stories. This is a short story as part of the Cruel Prince trilogy. I'm not going to say too much about this one. If you love the Cruel Prince kind of world and that trilogy, then I'd definitely read this one because it just takes you back into that world. The story is told from the perspective of Carden, so you get to know a little bit more about him. It honestly made me feel like rereading the whole trilogy again, so would also recommend this one. The 4th book that I read this month is The Mother-in-Law, and this one is by Sally Hepworth. I feel like Sally Hepworth is just like a comfort read to me. If I'm in a slump or I'm not too sure what to pick up, Sally Hepworth's books are like you kind of go in knowing what to expect. She follows a similar structure of writing and storytelling in all of her books. Some people probably get bored of, but I love it because I know what to expect. All her thriller books, I've never ever guessed how it's going to unravel. Her actual stories and the plot of her stories is not predictable at all. This story is actually told from 2 perspectives. So the main character, Lucy, she is the daughter-in-law, and then the mother-in-law's name is Diane. Sally Hepworth has a way of making you question the integrity of all the characters, regardless of if they're a sub-character or whether they're the main character and you're literally reading from their perspective, which I really, really like. Now, this book, it did get slow at times, I think because I just wanted answers and I didn't have any answers and I couldn't figure out who was innocent, who I could trust. So the start and the end of the book were fantastic. Now, this book was packed full of themes. So maybe just have a quick Google before you pick up this book. I've written down that the main themes is family, there's an affair, infertility, being a refugee, there's teen pregnancy in the book, and just a lot of topics interwoven into the story. So I rated this one a 4 out of 5 stars. Overall feelings for an adult mystery thriller, it wasn't too dark. Yeah, I feel like Sally Hepworth just has a way of writing where there's enough intrigue, there's enough happening. Okay, so the last book that I picked up in May was The Brothers Hawthorne. Now, this is the 4th book in the series and I rated it 4 stars. The plot, I would say, is very original. At this point, it's the 4th book in the series. So I'm not really going to go into plot because it is the 4th book and there's a lot of background. So the reason why this book was not a 5 out of 5 stars for me is because the main letdown would probably be characters. And it's not in the typical sense. Like, the main characters is the whole reason why I've followed this series all the way, because I do love the main characters. However, I need a family tree in the front of this book because it is so complicated, and the amount of side characters that are introduced into each book is just so much. And when you're trying to look for a chill book to kind of read that you don't need to concentrate that much, this is just not the book to pick up. Or I find that it's best that I've read these books whilst listening to the audiobook at the same time, just so I can really concentrate on what on earth is happening. So whilst I love and appreciate these books and the originality of the plot and the pace, the other thing is the pacing of these books is so good. So this particular book is told from the perspective of 2 brothers and the chapters are really short, so it makes you feel like you're flying through the book. The main themes of these books is, honestly, it's not real life, it's young adult, but I'd say if you were going to attribute any themes to these books, it would probably just be the emotional entanglement of being involved in a very complicated family, having family inheritance, and being born into money. My overall feelings is I love this book. Will I continue reading the series despite the amount of characters these books have? Yes. Okay, so that brings me to the end of my May reads, and now I'm going to talk you through what I hope to read in June. The first one on my list is My True Love Gave to Me. I hope to get to some of the short stories in this book. So this is a collection of 12 short stories, all based on holidays. I hope to get to some of these, maybe to break up my reading in between. The second book on my TBR this month is The Secret Life of Bees. Now, this just seems like a really nice book to read. It's a movie. I think the movie stars Dakota Fanning, so really curious to get to this one. And then the next book that I have on my TBR is Once Upon a Broken Heart. I actually got this one as a Christmas present, so it's been on my TBR for a while and I'm really excited to pick this one up. I think I might pick it up next. At the moment, I'm just about to finish 5 Survive, which was another book on my TBR, and the other book on my TBR is Every Summer After. I'm currently about to finish 5 Survive and I'm about 100 pages into Stalking Jack the Ripper, which was on my TBR last month. I just never got to it, so I'm reading it this month as well. So that's all. That's my May wrap up and my June TBR. If you did enjoy this video, please consider giving it a like or subscribing because it does help me out a lot. And as well, if you want to leave a comment, please let me know what you're reading or what you plan to read. But until next time, bye for now.